Welcome back to Bugg's World. The NFL regular season kicks off and it is just around the corner, and that means, of course, it's time to put on our prognosticator's cap. That's right, and let's ask Dr. Stupid how he thinks the NFL regular season and, of course, who the Super Bowl is going to be played by. Going through, looking at the entire regular season, usually I go through and it's painstaking, it takes hours. I'll handwrite out every single team and their schedule and then go through and W, loss, and basically just formulate how the entire season's going to play out. And well, as I've gotten older and as life has taken over, I don't have time to do that, and it's really just not that fun anymore. So I decided to go through and do a shrunken down version of that. And so now I've come up with how I think the season's going to play out. And just to get it right off the rip, no, I'm sorry, I haven't drank the Kool-Aid of the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I think they're going to be potentially better. I just don't know if that's going to show up records-wise. So I don't have the Steelers making the playoffs, as much as it pains me, because, of course, I'm a Steelers homer through and through. So taking a look at, starting with the NFC, since they already kicked off with the Seattle Seahawks defeating the Green Bay Packers, I have the NFC East. I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning that division because none of the other teams have really done anything to improve themselves this year, and I believe in Chip Kelly and I believe in Nick Foles. Also, I have the Green Bay Packers as the default winner of the NFC North Division because, well, they have the best quarterback. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Aaron Rodgers, and Matthew Stafford is going to be better this year. The big question for the Chicago Bears is Jay Cutler going to stay healthy? And that's usually a big fat no. In Minnesota, it all hinges on Teddy Bridgewater, and I'm just not sold on the guy. I didn't think he was that good coming out of college. I don't think he's going to be that good in the NFL. For the NFC South, it's always difficult to have teams repeat as champions. I believe the Atlanta Falcons were the first team to do that a number of years ago. I don't see the Carolina Panthers doing that this year. I see them taking a step back, and I have the New Orleans Saints getting their act together and putting everything all together this season, and I have them winning the division and making the playoffs, of course. And then that brings us to the NFC West, which of course has the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, and also the team that's been to the last 3 NFC Championship games in the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going with the Seahawks to win the division, although they're going to wind up, in my opinion, with the same record as the 49ers, but they'll win out somehow through tiebreakers. See, that was what I used to get into, was the tiebreakers and all that. So now I'm just going off of, well, Seattle won the Super Bowl last year, I'm going to make them the top seed this year. So I have the Seahawks, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Saints, and the Green Bay Packers as the teams that are making the playoffs as division winners, and then San Francisco coming in as the 5 seed, and the Atlanta Falcons making it as the 6. And the way that I have the playoffs breaking down in the NFC side of things is, I'll just skip over all the minutia. I have the 49ers upsetting the Seattle Seahawks in the second round of the playoffs. Even though the Seahawks had home field advantage, I think with all the revenge from last year and that sorry wide receiver Michael Crabtree, he's going to have a big impact in that game, and I think that the 49ers are going to knock off the Seahawks, and they'll face the New Orleans Saints in the NFC Championship game. Now, until really about now, I haven't figured out who I was going to go with for that matchup, but defense wins championships, and the San Francisco 49ers routinely have one of the best defensive teams in the NFL, and I think that's going to carry them. Plus, I'm a big fan of Colin Kaepernick, so I have the San Francisco 49ers for the second time in 3 years going to the Super Bowl, and we'll find out in a moment whether they are going to be able to get that elusive 6th championship. Taking a look at the AFC side of things, in the AFC East, I have the New England Patriots winning the division by default because, well, that's a terrible division. It's just god-awful. And while the Patriots do, on paper, have a more difficult schedule than they've had in the past, I don't think that's going to matter. They will have a worse record than they've been known to have, but I do have the New England Patriots winning the AFC East. I have the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens winding up with the same record at 10-6, and again, not going through tiebreakers and all that, going with the Cincinnati Bengals to win the division and the Baltimore Ravens to wind up with one of the wild card seeds. Of course, the Indianapolis Colts, they're the class of the AFC South Division right now, and I don't think that's going to change. I love Andrew Luck, I love Chuck Pagano, that offense has gotten better this year, or at least on paper it should get better, and the defense, which kind of hamstrung them last season, I think does make some improvements and will be able to get them with the top record in the AFC playoffs this coming season. And then, of course, the AFC West, it begins and ends with the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning is the man, and while their offense has gotten better, and defensively they've gotten better, I think they're going to take a couple steps back, but they will still wind up as the division winner. So I have the Colts and the Broncos as the top 2 seeds, with the Bengals and the Patriots rounding out the other 2 seeds as the division winners. And then I have the Baltimore Ravens making it back into the playoffs, and then the Tennessee Titans. I have always liked Jay Locker, especially in college, and I think that he's a good quarterback in the NFL. And as long as he stays healthy, I think the Tennessee Titans can do some good things this year. So I have the Titans making it into the final playoff. With that, I have the Bengals winning their first, yes, that's right, their first playoff game under Andy Dalton and Marvin Lewis. And if Marvin Lewis wasn't the head coach, they'd probably be my favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, because they have everything offensively, they have everything defensively. I just don't think Marvin Lewis is that great of a coach. He's a good coach, he's just not a great coach, and I don't see him ever winning a Super Bowl. So that leaves us with the first matchup, the first Sunday night matchup this year is Indianapolis hosting the Denver Broncos. I think that's going to be the end of the AFC playoffs, which will be this time around. It'll be Denver in Indianapolis, and Indy gets some revenge, and they come away with a big victory. Like I said, I believe in Andrew Luck, and I think that he is going to lead this team to the promised land. So my Super Bowl matchup is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Indianapolis Colts. And based off of what I've said, defense wins championships. Unless Indianapolis just steps it up and is worlds better than what they've been in the past, I'm going with the 49ers to win the Super Bowl this year. Now, there is one caveat for that, though, because I have predicted a number of Super Bowl matchups over the last 6 or 7 years, but I've never picked the actual Super Bowl winner. So if you're a Colts fan, that should be a good note for you, because I'm going with the 49ers to win the Super Bowl this year. So let me know. Give me your thoughts on what you think is going to happen for this season, whether I'm way off on that or not. And be sure to stay tuned for more from Bugg's World. Thanks.